not in my car for once.
Yeah, not in your car for once. How'd you get off work? I assume it was a snow day?
Mm.
Okay.
I left early. It started snowing, and I drive a Kia, so had to get out of there.
But yeah, so for those listening, we are in the middle of a massive snowstorm. How much have you gotten in Maryland?
Probably a good 4 inches already.
Yeah, we're about at 4 inches. I can't even see beyond our trees. Like the visibility's bad.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's gonna be a long day of snow. Probably gonna go on for another 5 or 6, 7 hours.
Yeah, it's supposed to snow here till like 3 or 4 in the morning, and it's supposed to like sleet in between in there. So it's not pretty.
Let's go ahead and talk about that Monday night game. Did you watch the whole game, or did you go to bed?
I watched most of it. I did not watch the whole game. Once I knew it was kind of out of hand, I kind of. Or hold on, you're not talking about the Bills Steelers?
No. I'm talking about the Browns Ravens game.
Oh my gosh, that was easily the best game I've seen all season. Why did I not? Sorry, I was thinking about that game.
Well, they were both night games.
Yeah, but dude, that was. First of all, I thought the game was over, and I thought the Ravens were going to blow them out in the first quarter.
When it was, I think it was a 14-point game, had a chance to be 15, and Tucker missed the extra, or no, it was blocked. I was like, this game's over. Browns are folding. I think. Yeah. Maybe not the next drive, but they get a stop. Maybe the next drive they score.
I loved it. Baker and Lamar balled, man. I loved it.
Do you think Lamar Jackson was taking a dump in the bathroom?
I do
too. He's calling it cramps, and they're calling it cramps. I don't know.
I believe it was cramps, but I believe it was because he had to take a dump.
I mean, you kind of do cramp up a little bit when you got the runs. Yeah. But I think it was. I genuinely do. Have you seen the video of him running to the locker room?
Yeah, that's why I knew. When he
he's like, get out of the way.
Have you ever seen White Chicks?
Long time ago.
There's just the scene. There's a scene that I can't say it now.
It's been 15 years probably.
And let me tell you, my favorite play of that whole game was the 4th and 5 when Lamar easily could have just ran it for a first down. He had it.
Yeah, I was like, why aren't you running the ball, dude? Like, you got it easily.
Dude, I thought he was going to run. I was like, oh, there's a first down. All right, let's see what goes on. And he just tossed the dart to Marquise Brown, and that was it.
It was out of a movie. I mean, he's out for at least, a series, basically a series and a half.
It was like a quarter. It was like an entire quarter.
It was a while because
it was probably, it might have been 3 possessions.
Maybe. I thought it was more 1.5. It might have been 2 or 3.
Well, two and a half because he ended up coming back in. So,
but the play on 3rd down, Trace McSorley gets the ball. I don't know if it was a read option or some sort, but he gets caught in the backfield. And then, but his knee kind of buckles. I hope he's all right. I don't know if he is or not. I haven't checked. Gets tackled for about a 4-yard loss. And I'm thinking, holy crap, this might be over. Then all of a sudden, like while McSorley's holding his knee on the ground, camera pans to the locker room, and here comes Lamar Jackson trotting out, and he grabs his helmet. I'm like, oh no, it's back on.
and even though I picked the Ravens, I found myself pulling for the Browns after.
Oh, I did too.
Come back, and then Lamar sealed it, which was cool. But that was probably the best loss in like Cleveland.
Yeah, so Cleveland.
Look,
I heard McAfee talk about this with AJ Hawk, and I'm not a big believer in moral victories. I do believe in you got to feel good after a loss, especially
but
like
for
that.
The Browns are acceptable for moral victories. Other teams that doesn't really count. Yeah,
and
or the Eagles, I'm not going to take that as a moral victory. But for the Browns, hell yeah, dude. The fact that you kept up with the best team in the league from last year. Obviously, they took a little bit of a step back this year. I mean, Baker played well. Stefanski called an awesome game. I mean, you can't ask for much more if you're a Browns fan.
But I was listening to McAfee talk, and he was saying how it might have been him or AJ Hawk, but that was like the best outcome, really, for both teams. Obviously, if you're Cleveland, you want the win, but you got to feel good about the direction of your team. I know if I were a Browns fan, I'd be like, Stefanski proved he's the guy. Like I mean, anything can happen. I probably said the same thing about Matt Nagy 2 years ago when he won Coach of the Year, or Anthony Lynn when he won 12 games. Now both could likely be fired.
Yeah.
But I think it's different with Stefanski. They run the ball very well. Great offensive line. He called a great game, like you said. And Baker Mayfield looks very comfortable.
No, he does. But, like, let's put it this way. I mean, is he going to be the guy for 10 years? I mean, probably not. Who is? How many coaches last that long in a place?
Belichick and Reed, Harbaugh might be the only three.
And that's
Sean Payton, that's 4.
Payton. And I can tell you one thing. Damn, I forget what I was going to say. Oh, I can tell you one thing. He's the best coach that they've had.
Oh, yeah.
That I can think of.
Since Belichick, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, and
That's
Belichick.
so strange.
He's what, 7-9? I mean.
No, so I looked it up because I was curious why Cleveland fired him. I know it's Cleveland, but I forget what his first 2 years were. He was there 4 years. I forget what the first 2 were. He went 11-5 his 3rd year, and then it completely flipped his 4th year. Went 5-11, and they fired him. So I don't know what the deal was. That was well before my time, but that was 90, mid 90s or something like that. So I was a wee child, but. Just interesting. He's the last coach to win a playoff game. Not the last coach to take them to the playoffs. That was in 2002. I don't know who the coach was then, with Eric Crouch. But it's interesting. I'll tell you what, though. I think Cleveland can upset Kansas City.
Yeah, if they just play keep away.
Yeah.
Get a couple turnovers.
I was listening to guys talk about that. Baltimore, too. But, like, Pittsburgh, I'm not picking Pittsburgh to even probably win a playoff game right now. They are not playing well. I think Buffalo can. Totally depends on if they can get pressure on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think Josh Allen at this point, not that he's even close to as good as Mahomes, but I think on a given night he can go.
Yeah, toe for toe. But
yeah.
I think Buffalo can. I'm not sure I believe in their defense right now. Cleveland has the pass rush to get to Mahomes. I don't really trust its secondary, but they can run the ball well, so it might not matter.
Exactly.
Baltimore can because they run the ball well, and they can get after the passer eventually. I think Cleveland's better, though. But we know what they can do. We know what Baltimore can do. So I think those are the only 3 teams that can knock off Kansas City, who now, by the way, controls its own destiny and home field. No. Do they? Yes, they do. Home field advantage in AFC.
Yep. They just got to win out. So
Exactly. So, you want to talk about your Eagles next? Big win.
First of all, didn't want them to win.
I know. I was texting you the whole game.
My best case scenario would have been Jalen Hurts playing amazing and them losing. That would have been best case scenario. But let me say this now that the game's over. I didn't want to admit it because I still secretly feel really bad for Carson Wentz. Sorry.
No, she left the room.
I freaking knew they were going to win that game, dude. In my heart before it started. Knew it. I was like,
that was the game. I said it in our picks. I was like, I don't know why. I think Philly's got a shot this week.
Dude, I just didn't.
Of course, I've been saying that all year, and they've kind of let me down.
I admit it because, first of all, it sounds dumb. I mean, logically, if you just look at the direction of those 2 teams before that game, like, you'd have been like, dude, no, they're not. But, like, dude, I just knew it. I was like, dude, if they just have somebody who doesn't throw freaking pick or fumble and get sacked 5 times, they're going to be in the game. Like, the defense hasn't played terrible outside of, like, 2 weeks.
No, it's been pretty competitive.
They're not a great defense, but they're average. I mean, they're an average.
If it weren't, I mean, and I hate to bash my boy Carson Wentz, but it's the truth. If it weren't for the turnovers offensively, Philly easily wins 3 more games this year. Maybe more.
I think they're above 500 right now.
I do too.
I really do. Not much above 500, but seriously, or maybe 6 and 7, maybe something like that. I think they're in first easily. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if they'd be in first, but they would have to be above 500 unless they would have beat Washington, which they really should have because they had a 17-point lead in that game. It's crazy. But I was listening to our boy Lefko and Westbrook talk, and Lefko, is such the reactionist and Eagles fan. He's like, it's a dawn of a new era, the Jalen Hurts era, and Westbrook was kind of like, let's slow down.
No.
I look at that. He clearly gives the Eagles a new dynamic offensively.
This is going to move around, like, my feelings on the trio, the Carson Wentz, Doug Peterson, Howie Roseman I'm always going to want him gone. Yeah. I hope he gets fired this offseason.
You've been arguing that all year.
And I know it was only 1 game, but it did prove it to me. Every game outside of – look at every game Doug Peterson's ever coached without Carson Wentz, and he's been, like – masterful. Like,
yeah.
I think he's 12-2 without Carson Wentz. Because he was 11-2. He was 11. Swear to God, he was 11-2 before that game. He's 12-2 without Carson Wentz. So Nick Foles, and then that one game with Jalen Hurts.
Crazy.
12-2 with a Super Bowl. So I want to keep Doug. I do think that he's not as bad as Carson's been making him look. I am 100% positive Carson Wentz is going to be a good quarterback again. It's just not going to be on the Eagles. He has to go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think the team really believes in him anymore. I think he's lost his confidence.
And dude, it's just a change of scenery, and he'll be good again. I know it.
I'm hoping it's Indianapolis. I really am.
So do I. And basically, I think, dude, like if you look around the league now, all the good quarterbacks can scoot, bro. Like, we really might need Jalen Hurts. He doesn't get hurt even though he can run.
And that's what I mean by new dynamic. I saw nothing about that game from him throwing the ball where I'm like, he's the guy.
No, agreed.
But he ran the ball well. He had over 100 rushing yards. I'm like, okay, clearly he can make plays with his legs, which we knew that to begin with.
I think can be a slightly better Dak Prescott. That's how I see him.
I think it's a fair
he has
count.
the same intangibles. They're the same size.
I was going to argue a better Tyrod Taylor.
I'll take that. I mean, same thing. But no, I would go Dak, except I think he's a little more dynamic with his legs, and I honestly do think he probably throws the ball slightly better. But as far as
I'll say this, I think he's way more careful with the ball than Dak.
And I just think intangibles-wise, him and Dak are just, like, perfectly paralleled, man. They're just great leaders.
That's a fair comp.
They don't get hurt. Just team guys. They're both strong. Dude, Jalen Hurts can squat like 650 pounds. So
I mean, he clearly had,
and go into the end zone. So it's like, I just want Carson Wentz to go, like, just thrive somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I basically learned, because I was sitting there, and I'm like, dude, nobody's going to trade for Wentz because of his contract. But then I saw today that basically the team that picks him up is going to have basically a 2-year, $48 million deal is what they'll have to pay him.
And that's not bad at all.
That's cheap as chips, dude. $24
million.
In
Indianapolis, I know the cap situation is going to be real bad this upcoming year, 2021.
Not for them.
Not so much, at least. I know for years they've been borderline $100 million in cap room, and they've not spent a bunch in free agency. They've built all through the draft, just about.
And I think what Chris Ballard is thinking right now, hopefully at least.
And don't forget Phillip Rivers, but Phillip Rivers is just on a 1-year deal. He's a free agent after this year.
Exactly, and they're not going to re-sign him. Clearly.
I highly doubt it.
I highly doubt it. And what Chris Ballard, I think, is thinking is like, dude, we're going to get in the playoffs, probably win a playoff game. We're not going to be in the sweepstakes for a quarterback, and I'm not trying to gamble this great cheap roster I have right now on a second or third round quarterback that might end up being good, but it'll be 5 years from now when this roster is all paid and I can't afford
Obviously, they could be in the running for a first-round pick. There are some quarterbacks that could be drafted later in the first round that I like Zach Wilson, Kyle Trask, Mac Jones even.
I think he's knowing, like, listen, dude, like, I'm going to have to pay this defense soon.
Yeah.
This great defense that I have. I'm going to probably have to give Darius Leonard the biggest linebacker contract of all time. They have Buckner, who is already paid, I'm pretty sure, is getting oodles of money.
Yeah, I think San Francisco paid him either the year before or right before they traded him.
Yeah. And I'm just hoping that he's like, listen, dude, I can afford $24 million for a 28-year-old quarterback who, was MVP-like under Frank Reich. Like, let's try it out for at least 2 years. You know what I mean? Just a 2-year. So I'm hoping, dude. I hope he also gets looked at by the Niners. That they could incur him for less.
So I listened to Charles Robinson, who works for Yahoo. He was on McAfee yesterday, I believe, and he was given scenarios. He thought Denver would be a good scenario for Carson Wentz. They got the cap room to afford him. I don't think San Francisco does if they get Jimmy G off the books. I think they could, because I know him and Carson Wentz are making about the same money right now. So that's another one. And you're right. I don't think Kyle Shanahan, cares for Jimmy G that much.
No. And I think
and two, I don't think he wants a rookie quarterback at all. That's been like the MO since he got there. I'm not dealing with a rookie.
Yeah, dude, I think Kyle Shanahan could make him great, dude. Like, great.
So one of the things that worried me when Green Bay picked up Tavon Austin was he obviously drafted by the Rams, signed a contract extension with the Rams right when Sean McVay got there, and then they traded him to Dallas. He serves the rest of his contract in Dallas, goes to San Francisco this year, can't crack I don't even think he can crack the 53-man roster. They get rid of him. So when Green Bay picked him up, I was like, that's two of the greatest offensive minds in the game, McVay and Shanahan, and have the same system as LaFleur. And I'm like, and they don't seem to think that they can do anything with him. But he did have 2 catches against Detroit.
Yep. I know. I hope Tavon flourishes. So
Hey, it was awesome. So I would never been more excited for a punt return in my entire life when he got out there to kick return or to punt return the first time, which was just a fair catch, most exciting fair catch of my life. And then Aaron Rodgers gets the ball first play of the drive for him, dumps the ball to Tavon Austin. I'm like, all right, getting him involved early. Then I think he hit him again the same drive, never touched the ball again.
I still don't understand how Tavon never flourished in the NFL. I feel like his game's perfect.
I honestly think that he's got to be dumb because I know he didn't do well on the Wonderlic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, man.
He scored like almost a record low on the Wonderlic, and I'm not a big Wonderlic guy. I think it matters for quarterbacks. Wide receivers, I don't really care, but it's got to mean something, because he's clearly got the intangibles to do it. I know he's not very big, but he can run.
It's just like, dude, if you're fast, how are you not good? You know what I mean? And it's not like you're just fast, like you're a track guy who came over to football. Like, I know you're good at football. I watched you play, so I don't know. I hope he has a couple good games with you guys, though.
Let's hope. I mean, Tyler Urban, I think, just went on the IR, so he's gonna be that Tyler Urban guy, and I think he's better than Tyler Urban. We'll see. Back to the Eagles. I think it's a two-team race in the NFC East. It changes weekly. It was the Cowboys and Eagles. Then it was, well, maybe it's the Giants and the Eagles. Then it was the Giants and Washington. Now it's probably Washington and the Eagles.
Dude, I'll be so pissed if they win that division, dude. Pissed.
It's an uphill battle. As of right now, Washington has the tiebreaker over head-to-head. Like I know it's week 17, in Philly.
It looks like it's going to happen to me. It just does.
If they win this week, it's going to happen because Philly plays Dallas, I think, week 16. Yeah. I think that's a win. If they beat Arizona this week, it's going to come down to week 17.
Get out of us, dude.
And the Eagles right now have the no, they don't. They're still in third place, aren't they? Yeah. But the Giants have a tough schedule ahead, and Daniel Jones is more banged up than they originally said he was.
Yeah, agreed. Mm-hmm.
It's coming down to it's obviously it comes down to this week. If Philly beats Arizona, it's on. It's going to be week 17.
I might put on a fucking Cardinals jersey, dude.
Hey, out of respect for you, I will cheer for the Cardinals on Sunday. I needed that win for my Packers, Eagles over the Saints for home field advantage, which that's a good segue. I know we could have done it with Tavon, but this is another good segue. James, I'm gonna monologue here for a bit.
All right.
That was way more stressful of an afternoon for me than it should have been.
Division game, dude.
But don't do
this. Dude, it's not college
football. So, I will say this. In honor of us winning the NFC North, I got my new shirt from Barstool.
Yeah.
That says, "It'll never work." And then it's got LaFleur and Rodgers on it. And then I got my new NFL...
That's fire.
Toboggan, beanie, whatever you want to call it.
Toboggan.
I'm a toboggan guy. Southern people say toboggan, I guess.
Mantis toboggan.
Mantis toboggan. What was I saying? So anyway... That was way more stressful of an afternoon than it should have been. So the scenario that we needed was Minnesota either lose or tie to Tampa, which that was the 1:00 game. And then it happened. So then, I was like, okay, all we need is really to tie, even though that hurts us in terms of playoff seeding.
Yeah.
All we need is a tie to Detroit, and we can win this win the division today. And since everything's shut down here in Pennsylvania, I drove down to Morgantown because we didn't get the game here. Drove down to the Buffalo Wild Wings in Morgantown to watch the game.
No shit, did you?
Oh, yeah. And, hey, chances to win the division, I'm not going to get updates on my phone.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, as I'm pulling in, I get the alert that Detroit scored on the opening drive, which I was like, okay, whatever, not the best start, but all right. Then, as soon as I walk in, Green Bay's got the ball. He hits Devontae Adams for a big play, defensive stop, scoring the next drive, 14-7. I'm like, all right, 14 unanswered points. We're rolling. Let's do this thing. Drive stalls. Give it right back. They go down and score. Before halftime, we go into halftime 14-14, tied. I'm like, okay. It's going to be one of those games, is it? Instead of beating this team by 17 points, which we should do, we're going to let them just hang around. And that's exactly what happened. Now, I will say, it went out to a 14-point lead. We were up 28-14, and at some point in the second half, I think it was entering the fourth quarter. Then what happens? They scored, make it a 28-21 game. Thank God for Mason Crosby being able to sink a 57-yard field goal to make it a 10-point game, and they did have some garbage time. A garbage time score, I should say. But on the ensuing kickoff, after a 31-21 score, I'm thinking, all right, we got this wrapped up. 2-possession game, just need to stop defensively. Matt Stafford's hurt. Done deal. And I shit you not, the special teams unit gives up a 70-yard return and deep into Green Bay territory on the 30-ish yard line. Short field goal, 1-possession game again. At the same time, Philadelphia is choking the game away, trying to choke the game away against New Orleans. They're happening, I'm not kidding, back-to-back, screens right next to each other. Projector screens, by the way, so everyone's watching these games, even though there are only about 12 people there. I'm sweating. Because at the same exact time, Green Bay is kicking an onside kick. New Orleans is kicking an onside kick. They both screw it up. Philly lets it bounce 10 yards. I think it might have been... No, it hit one of their guys. That's what it was. Yeah, it hit one of their guys. Somehow they recover. I still think the refs got the call wrong. Because it looked to me like the New Orleans guys got it. I think at the last second, the Philly guy reached in and got it. I don't know how you screw that up if you're New Orleans. On the other side, Green Bay just lets it roll. And roll. And roll. And roll. 10 yards. Detroit guy picks it up. I'm about to throw something. Goes to review. I think the ball just got out of bounds before the guy picked it up. Rodgers takes a knee. The game's over. Philadelphia, the review happened a little bit later. Goes my way. I'm on a cloud the rest of the evening. We've locked up the division. Driver's seat to get home field advantage, which is crucial because, James, I'll be honest.
It is.
I don't know if I see a team going into Green Bay and winning this year. And I'm never this confident.
I agree, man, because it's going to be cold as a B word. But
I will say this. Every time there's a playoff game in Green Bay, I feel like it's never as cold as what we think it is. There's always that game every now and then that's -5. But I think the game against Seattle last year was, 20 degrees or something.
Dude, I remember they had a game against the Giants in the playoffs. When I was probably in middle school.
I was 15 years old.
Maybe 9th grade then. And bro, it was freaking.
I remember that was the game we should have won. Giants ended up winning the Super Bowl. The first one with Eli Manning when they defeated undefeated New England.
Specifically because of how cold it was where I was, and I knew it was literally like negative.
I remember we had a pretty big lead, if I remember right, in that game. Giants came back, tied it up, went in overtime. Last pass of Brett Favre's career, like Brady, was a pick. Not a pick six like Brady, or I should say his last pass in New England, as in Green Bay, was an interception. Giants get an easy field goal back when the game. Well, it wouldn't have mattered because we had the opening possession. But back then, all you needed was a field goal to win. But like I said, it wouldn't have mattered today anyway.
I mean, I'll say this: all of the NFC teams are flawed, including the Packers. But I would agree that the Packers are the best team right now, and I think with home field they would have the best home field advantage right now than any other team in the running.
New Orleans does. The problem is that they're going to have fans. Even without fans, I think Green Bay's hard just because of the elements.
I was going to say, since there's no fans, we're going to go to. I mean, who wants to play in Lambeau in January?
No one does. And New Orleans is hard to play.
It's easy to play in New Orleans when no one's.
Well, and that's what I was getting to. It's hard to play in New Orleans when there's fans. That is statistically one of the hardest places to play when there's fans. But there's not going to be. It's going to be a dome, no bad weather.
Even if the Saints get home field,
or the Rams could also be in the mix. I'll give them or Seattle.
And obviously, it would be good for you guys before the championship game, but Aaron Rodgers against Drew Brees or Taysom Hill in the dome is losing. I'm telling you right now. So it doesn't matter if the Saints even get home field advantage. You're beating them in New Orleans. Easy.
If it's Green Bay. Goes through Green Bay. I feel pretty good. I'm like 75% sure we'd get to the Super Bowl.
You guys.
If it's New Orleans, I'm 50-50.
Dude, you're beating New Orleans regardless.
Probably. I mean, in New Orleans, I think we would. It'd be a lot closer, though.
I think. Man, I don't know.
Because remember, like, Green Bay won in New Orleans in Week 3. Saints fans will argue, well, they didn't have Michael Thomas. Well, we didn't have Devontae Adams that game either. And it's a totally different when Devontae Adams is in the game for us.
I know they haven't played great, but I think the team you guys have to worry about the most is the Bucs.
I think the Rams.
Or the Rams. But no, I'm not afraid of Jared Goff, dude.
I'm worried about their defense because I think that they have a very good defense, very underrated secondary. They don't give up many explosive plays. We're gonna have to drive the ball.
Yeah.
Which we can do. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried, just facing a tough defense in bad weather. I can see it being a struggle. But on the other side, I don't really trust Jared Goff to outduel Aaron Rodgers. And I do think McVay will come up with some sort of game plan that will expose us.
Is working, they're done.
I'm a little worried about Seattle just because I think they match up well with us, and you never know with Russell Wilson if he could go out there and throw 5 touchdowns or he could throw 5 interceptions. But I think we'd win, especially if they go on the road week 1 or a wild card weekend and then come to Lambeau. I think we'd win.
Agreed.
Tampa Bay, I'm not worried about Tampa Bay anymore.
No? You're gonna
look at that, dude. If Minnesota can make kicks on Sunday, and we can talk about the segue into this. We have a totally different opinion of Tampa Bay. I think.
Yeah, they did miss a lot.
They missed, I think, 2 field goals and 2 extra points. That's 8 points, or 6. Yeah, roughly 8 to 10 points right there. They might have missed more. That's a totally different game.
Sure.
I still don't think Tampa Bay has some sort of identity on offense.
But I'm going to tell you right now, that's not as much of an indictment as you think, because I think the Vikings are good. I just think they started 1-5. They're way better than their record.
True, you're right.
But I just think they're way better than their record. At least 2 or 3 games better.
You're right. I mean, they are what? They're 5-2 roughly since the 1-5 start. They are better than their record. I totally agree.
I just think they have – I wouldn't even say they're great. I just think they have so many weapons that on a given game they can beat the shit out of anybody, dude. Dalvin Cook and, Thielen and Jefferson are all working. Like, you can't defend all 3 of them. They're a tough team, I'm telling you. I wouldn't want to play them
I wouldn't want to play them, but even back in Week 5, I got the sense that, and I feel like I have a pretty good sense of these things, that after the game, I was like – play this game in January, I think it's going to be a much different outcome. Not saying Green Bay would win.
You know football, Shane.
But I'm like, look, Rodgers had 2 interceptions. 1 was a pick 6. They gave the ball to Tampa Bay on a short field a few times. Play this game in January, especially in Lambeau. I think it'd be totally different.
I just think they match up well, kind of.
I think Seattle matches up better than they do.
I think Seattle is more of like a carbon copy of your squad.
Exactly.
Like
Cowherd has said, all of the NFC teams Green Bay matches up well with. None of them are really ground and pound physical teams.
That's true.
Except the Rams or Washington, but I think we'd be able to beat Washington. Surely we'd be able to beat Washington.
They're not going to score enough points at the end of the day.
Their offense is bad. Yeah, I do worry about the defensive front, but
I wouldn't want to play the Redskins or the
football team. I wouldn't want to play the football team either. I'd be worried. If they won the wild card round especially, had to come into Lambeau, I'd be sweating.
Dude, Chase Young is insane. Because, first of all, I didn't get
I think Green Bay would win, but just, barely eke out a victory. Last-second field goal, Mason Crosby delivering.
So the only game that I got here was the football team game.
Yeah.
So I watched the whole thing. Dude, Chase Young is just dominated the whole game, dude. Every play.
So you'll like this. I was listening to Lefko talk about some of these beasts in the NFL, these pass rushers, defensive linemen, and they kept talking about their physique and made me think of Mac and Dennis. Dude, I don't want to talk about dudes' physiques anymore.
You're going to start oiling some bodies. I'm going to freak out and have another day.
Why aren't you greasing up these beefcakes?
Freak out. Have another day.
What else can we talk about? How about the Bills-Steelers game? That was a big game.
Dude, I fucking love the Bills, dude. I hope they win the Super Bowl so bad.
I'd love to see the Bills in the Super Bowl. I think they can beat Kansas City.
They're so awesome. If they beat the Chiefs, they're winning the Super Bowl. I'm telling you right now.
I know I wouldn't. I'm worried about every single AFC team except Pittsburgh right now.
Josh Allen could just run for like 6 yards a game or a carry all game and win. I'm dead serious.
The thing about Buffalo, I don't think they run the ball particularly well.
No, not outside of Josh Allen.
Yeah. So that's one. If it's Buffalo, I'd feel much better about Buffalo than especially Kansas City. But I'd feel better about playing Buffalo because they don't run the ball that well.
And Josh Allen,
they can sling it, which everyone can in the NFL these days.
He's semi-inconsistent still.
Yeah.
Like, he's much more consistent.
Defensively, they're a lot better. But I do worry about their pass rush. And if you can't get to Rodgers like Mahomes, the game's over.
It's not necessarily a personnel thing on defense with them. They're good at defense every year because they have.
Yeah, and Sean McDermott's a really good coach. I'm sure he'd be able to scheme.
He's probably the most underrated coach in the NFL. He's probably a top 5 coach.
Is he a top 10 coach?
Absolutely.
Who would you say? I was going through this the other day. Who would you say is a top 10 coach? Obviously, the 4 we named: Belichick, Reed, Harbaugh, Peyton. Who would you say would be the other?
Shanahan, McVay.
Yeah. That's my 5 and 6. I argue Tomlin.
No, of course, Mike Tomlin. Brian Flores.
You're already going Flores.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. Dude, they're not that good, and they're good. You
know
what
that
I mean?
Gives you 9. So either LaFleur or McDermott is out.
I'll probably go McDermott. No offense to LaFleur.
Is he 11 at least?
Yeah, probably 11.
I can live with that.
He's probably 12.
No, that's fair. I wouldn't put Flores that high. I think he's definitely in the top half. I'd probably put him more in that 11 or 12 range.
There's a lot of good coaches in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I would put LaFleur probably at 9. I'll give Tomlin some credit with the Super Bowl.
Listen. LaFleur's resume speaks for itself, so I can't really.
Look, I'm pretty sure he's the winningest coach through what are we at now? 29 games.
I have like 6 or 7 losses in his whole
He has
career
6. He was 13-3 last year. 7 if you count the playoffs.
And dude, they didn't have a great team last year, so you don't get to the NFC Championship with, obviously you guys were way above average, but you weren't like a great team.
No, I thought we were a 10-win team. And
you were a well-coached team. That's why you had 13 wins and you went to the NFC Championship.
I thought we were a 10-win team. We were 8-1 in one-possession games, which was a lot of the reason for that.
Dude, that's coaching.
Some of those one-possession games, though. Here we are back on Green Bay, but some of those one-possession games were one of those where you had barely a 2-possession lead, and then a team had a garbage time touchdown at the end and kicked an onside kick. Didn't get it. It was one of those deals.
Yeah.
We had probably 2 or 3 of those last year.
Yeah.
Where it had it in hand, garbage time score. Shit, now it's a one-possession game with under a minute left.
And it wasn't really.
Yeah, not really. I know Washington was like that. Chicago might have been like that, although Chicago had a chance to win at the end, or at least tie it. But yeah, at least 2 of those games were like that.
So I have a question for you. Who's the coach of the year? Because I think it's a two coach race right now.
I think there's only one option. I think LaFleur, being the biased fan that I am, should get way more credit.
Is that your one?
No. Kevin Stefanski. I think that's the only answer.
That was one of mine,
and if he won it, I wouldn't be mad at all.
I was gonna say Flores is the other, but yeah, no.
Flores is good too. I think that's fair. If he also won, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
That's got to be 1 and 2 at the very least. And
I didn't think about Flores.
Who 3 is Belichick, because the fact that he has.
So I've been meaning to talk to you about this. If the Brady-Belichick divorce has proven anything, is how mutually beneficial both were to the other.
I agree. Dude, that was in.
I wouldn't say Belichick carried Brady, and I wouldn't say Brady carried Belichick either.
That was the most perfect marriage of all time. It was so 50-50. And I've always said that.
And I think this has proven it, because both have, I think, proven it. Brady is having success in Tampa Bay. I know they've struggled a little bit, but I still chalk that up to just a new system, not quite feeling it out yet. But he's had success. Belichick, even though the team has struggled, has won some big games. Baltimore being one. He's beat Vegas. Both of those teams were ahead of them in the standings. He hung in there with Buffalo. Could have won the game if I think Cam Newton didn't fumble at the end.
Yeah.
So I think they've both proven, look, this was the perfect symbiotic relationship.
Yes, and I hope people realize that.
Yes, because that's what we're judging everything now. My friends give me shit all the time because Green Bay's only won one title with both Rodgers and Favre, and I'm like, look, you can't keep looking at it like that. Like, what Belichick and Brady did might not ever be done again. I know Montana and Walsh did it, but other than that, like, those are, what, 10 championships, if you count Steve Young, 11 championships out of 55 years. Everyone else, the Steelers had it going a little bit in the 70s, but that was a whole different era.
Yeah.
We got to quit looking at it like that. You didn't win enough. Who's to say? Who's to say?
Brady, and it's just it's insane.
And I know I'm a Packers fan, and I'm sitting here to tell you we did not do enough. I don't know about for Favre. We have not done enough for Rodgers, for sure. Favre at least got us to another Super Bowl. Should have won that Super Bowl. Play John Elway, I get it, but that's me. That's me. I hate that argument. Didn't win enough with him.
It's tough.
It's hard to win, and I've heard that all the time, especially in that Buffalo Bills 30 for 30 about getting there 4 straight times, not winning one. And their point is absolutely right. I don't know how you don't, you can judge us as a failure, but I don't see how we are. We went 4 straight times. There are teams that have won it and not gotten back. Great teams. Tampa Bay did it. Won, never went back.
Yeah.
Green Bay has done it. Won, never went back. What's that? Raiders, yeah. Raiders. Well, not since the 80s or something have they won a title. But teams have won it and not sniffed it again. Seattle's been there. Should have won too, but that's me. I assume that's a dog?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'll show you.
Is that, the bulldog?
Yeah. Say hi.
What else happened this weekend? Oh, so I was doing the math. You actually took a commanding lead in the.
Cool. Let's go.
I think you thought it was. I think my math was wrong the first time. You thought it was a 2-game lead. It's actually a 3-game lead now.
Let's go.
So I have fallen behind again, and I got to play catch up with 3 weeks to go.
Next tomorrow, all right?
Yes, tomorrow. I'm looking at if there's anything else to talk about from last week. The Bears. Sure enough, the Bears won by 29 points. I gotta worry about the Bears now.
Trubisky looked like.
Did you see the stat that I think Pro Football Focus put out that he had like the best passer rating maybe this weekend between Mahomes and Watson? And I was like, we know what you're doing. Stop trying to make it seem like he's on their level. He's not.
That's a pretty bad game, but of course he's just.
3 picks and they still scored 33 points.
Wins anyway. Yep.
Brian Flores, if you're like Cleveland, if you're the Dolphins, you have got to feel good about the way your team is structured.
Is the defensive player of the year easily?
Who?
Has 9 picks.
Who?
Xavier Howard has 9 interceptions.
He has 9 interceptions?
He's got one in 5 straight games.
Who even is the defensive player of the year right now? Should be him, I would argue.
Oh, easily.
They're gonna put they're gonna give it to Aaron Donald probably.
No, they're not. T.J. Watt is first in every category right now too.
No, it's different. I thought it was different. Isn't there an AFC and NFC? Or am I thinking of baseball?
Not for defensive player.
I think you're right. Right.
There's only one. Defensive rookie of the year has AFC and NFC, doesn't it?
No.
No, it doesn't.
No. I'm thinking of baseball. Baseball, I know it has AL and NL.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if they did the league. You were the MVP, whatever. But I wouldn't mind also if they did AFC, NFC. You were the player of the year. Or something a little different. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Indianapolis dominated. I'm not giving the Seahawks credit.
No,
you wanted to give them credit.
I mean, they beat a good team handily, or a bad team handily. That's what you do.
I was the one saying I'm gonna have an
Hate
aneurysm,
on a team
and they haven't yet. But I woke up.
Give them a bunch of credit. I guess that's what you did. You were like, I'm not anointing them, and blah blah blah. So
I was because I knew it was gonna happen. It hasn't yet though, so I'm wrong. But I was like, I'm gonna wake up Monday morning, and everyone's gonna be talking about how great Seattle is now. They bounced back in a big way. I'm like, it's the fucking winless Jets that won by 37 points at home. I'm tired of Seattle. I'm not giving Seattle any attention. And I know I'm doing it now, but I'm not going to give them attention.
You might regret those words. Don't say that. Knock on some wood. But all right, bro. I gotta call my girl and make sure she's not dead.
All right. Hold on. One more thing. Cleveland changing their names from the Indians. What do you want?
What are the? Is there an options? Is there?
There. So Vegas released some odds. I think the favorite is the Cleveland Baseball Club / team, whatever they choose to go with. I'm hoping club because club is more associated with baseball.
Cooler.
Yeah. So
is that going to be like a new theme?
Dude, I was talking about this with my mom. I swear, I think it is because everything's
awesome.
going to be deemed offensive.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
Because eventually, either attacking the Native American names now. Next is going to be the Braves and the Chiefs. Even though I think that's stupid, both of those are a nod to Native American culture. Next is going to be the Texas Rangers. They're going to go after them.
No.
Then it's going to be like the Vikings because they were, crude people, which they were, but that's still cool because there's a lot of Scandinavian people in Minnesota. But that's just my opinion. It'll just be the Green Bay football team, the Philadelphia football team, the Philadelphia basketball team.
I love that.
I think it's stupid as hell, but... So the favorite was the Cleveland Baseball Club. Second was like the Spiders, which I think would actually be a pretty cool name.
Sweet. Sounds more like a AAA club, though.
What's that?
Spiders sounds like a AAA club.
It does, but I feel like Spiders is a very underused name. First of all...
It is, but it's not like a... It is, but it's not like a... Oh, no, that would be pretty cool. I guess spiders would be
spiders cool. Are scary. Like, I'm not scared of spiders, but arachnophobia is one of the biggest fears in the world.
Yeah, dude, putting like a Black Widow on the jersey would be pretty tight, like some Spider-Man shit.
I was thinking like a web and then like the C, that block C that Cleveland has. I think that would be a cool logo. There was another one. I'm hoping it won't happen. But I'm hoping, like Washington, I do think Washington's probably going to go with the Warriors. Still a nod to Native American culture.
Be sweet.
I'm hoping Cleveland goes with Tribe. I don't see how that can be offensive because it's what they were all tribes. Just call them the Cleveland Tribes. Or Cleveland Tribe. Sorry.
That would be sweet.
They've been called the Tribe as a nickname for years. Yeah. It's a shame this is happening also because they've been the Cleveland Indians for over 100 years. Washington's been the Redskins for a long time, not as long as the Cleveland Indians. There were some other favorites. I saw the Blue Sox was one of them, and I was like, that'd be incredibly lazy if they did that because there's already a Red Sox and a White Sox. I don't think we need a Blue Sox.
They're very cool, though.
I wouldn't hate it, but it doesn't do anything for me. The other one was the Naps, which is what they were called before the Indians because of Napoleon LaJoie or something, their best player, I'm assuming. Again, but I hear Naps. I'm thinking about going to sleep.
Yeah, that's corny. No.
The one I'm hoping for is the Cleveland Wild Things.
No, they're not going to do that.
Oh, come on.
The MLB is like a very old school.
I know, but it would be so cool if Washington changed its name to the Sentinels after the replacements and Cleveland changed its name to the Wild Things. Like, they could even adopt Charlie Sheen's logo, the skull and crossbones, on the bridge of his glasses as a secondary logo. That'd be so cool.
That would be, dude.
And like Major League, the baseball in the movie has a mohawk, I'm pretty sure. Put the skull, like a skull with a mohawk. I think that would be so cool.
Dude, that would honestly be so sweet. Actually,
I'd love for it to be the Wild Things, but it's not going to happen. I highly doubt it.
Like, literally 100% not happening.
There were some others. The Cleveland Unions was one, which is a nod to the Civil War history. Well, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the NHL team in Ohio, is after Civil War.
Oh, that's cool. I never really thought about that, but you're right.
Yeah, because I thought I remember when I was a kid, I would see Blue Jackets, and I'm like a blue yellow jacket. What's the deal?
I guess that honestly doesn't.
But yeah, it's about Ohio being in the Union, and the Union soldiers wore blue jackets, so that's why they're called that. So if it's something Civil War, not doesn't have to be Union, but something like that, I'd be fine with. But all in all, it's probably going to be the Spiders. If it is, I have no problem with it. I think that's a cool name.
That'd be cool. But I don't
Keep the same color scheme, navy blue, red. Maybe have a black one because spiders are usually black. Spider web, block C, and also that used to be. So the reason why it's that is because long time ago there were 3 baseball teams in Cleveland. One was called the Spiders. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. That's a nod to your city's history. Another one was the Cleveland Lakers. I don't hate that.
They won't do that.
They won't, but that actually makes sense. They're right on the lake.
On the lake, Erie.
That makes sense. LA is not. There's no lakes around in LA. It's a desert, pretty much.
From Minneapolis.
I know. I know that, and that made more sense. If they were LA's gold or something, that'd be so much better.
I want them to come back with the bullet. They should be the Cleveland Bullets.
You can't do
Obviously,
bullets.
they won't for obvious reasons. Which
Can't do bullets. The other one was like the Cleveland Cuyahogas, which is like the county that it's in, and there's the Cuyahoga River that flows through.
Too specific.
It is, and I think a classmate of mine already said they're not doing anything Native American, which is a shame. But which Cuyahoga isn't even. I was looking it up. I can't even find. I don't think there was a tribe called the Cuyahoga. I don't know where. No one seems to know where the term Cuyahoga comes from. It just sounds Native American.
It does sound Native American.
All right, my man. I know you got to go. I'll let you go. I wanted to just talk about Cleveland though, real quick.
No. Honestly, that's interesting because I knew they were changing their name, but I didn't know what the options were. So
I don't know if those are options. Those are just a list of names that Vegas put out as favorites.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's got to be some reason they think that. So
Yeah. All right, my man. I'll let you go.
All right, bro. Later.
Later.